Welcome to Kickass Radio, hosted by Jo Sainsbury, founder of Kickass Women. Join Jo over the next hour as she shares stories and conversations that are both inspiring and empowering. Having spent over 30 years in the corporate sector, Jo Sainsbury kicked off her heels and became a coal train driver working in the rail and mining industry. It has been her goal ever since to empower and support women who are considering a career change into an industry role, making the transition as smooth as possible. Jo is a walking, talking success story of how taking the plunge into industry can open up a world of opportunity. And you can do it too. If you're a woman working in industry or considering a career change, this is the radio station for you. Let's get into this episode of Kickass Radio.
Has anyone else ever noticed how interviewing is kind of like a date? Well, we're going to talk about that today for something a little different. You are listening to the Kickass Radio show Kickstart, where we talk about all things women working in non-traditional roles in varied male-dominated industries, and I tell you how it is. Today is episode number 5, where we are going to be talking about how interviewing and dating are very similar. I'm your host, Jo Sainsbury, the Glo-getter. My background is I'm no stranger to wearing high-vis workwear, getting down and dirty in the grease and the coal dust. I have over 30 years' experience in administration, human resources, workplace health and safety, and project management, all within the heavy equipment, earth-moving, rail and civil construction industries. And I hit the track running, so to speak, 7 years ago, and now work as a coal train driver. Yes, you heard me right, I drive a coal train, and I can honestly and genuinely say I love my job. And my passion now is really wanting to encourage more women to consider these non-traditional roles and careers as I share my knowledge, career experiences and understanding of these industries. So here we are on the radio show. So if you know me, you know how colourful my personality can get. And if you don't know me yet, I promise you we'll have fun getting to know one another. I really love getting to know my tribe and really excited to be sharing our career experiences, industry knowledge and know-how and insights. So today is episode number 5 and we're going to be talking about the job interview, how interviewing and dating are similar, and how best to prepare with some of my tips and tricks to help you demonstrate that you are the right person for the role. Good morning to everyone here in beautiful Australia and good afternoon to all our friends in the US. May your morning or afternoon be pleasant and hassle-free, and if you're on your commute to home or to work for the day, I hope we can keep you company and provide you all with a little more insight into some much needed conversations about women transitioning into these industries. I'll also take this opportunity to say today's episode is brought to you once again by one of the show's sponsors, Brenjo's Earth Moving Contractors. Brenjo's is a locally family-owned and operated civil contracting business and is keeping on track, providing services to the rail and civil construction industries. Brenjo's recognises the importance and advantages of diversity and inclusion within their workforce and fully support women in the industry. So a big thank you to Brenjo's and a shout out to all the workers out on track and on site today. This might be a good time to mention that the radio show does and may contain adult language. Let's get into it. Rightio, back to the show. Rightio, let's start at the job application. When you're looking for a new job, many of your applications will be completed online, either directly on a company website or via a job board. When you start job searching, you should first prepare to complete online job applications. It requires gathering all the information you'll need to apply. It will be easier to get your applications in if you have all your current and previous employment information employers want directly on hand. So before you start looking for jobs and completing the online job application, you need an updated version of your resume in PDF format ready to upload, along with your cover letter, also in PDF format ready to upload. Review the best sites to look for jobs, how to upload your resume and cover letter, the information you'll need to provide, and tips on how to streamline the application process. Then to apply for a job online and to complete online job applications, you'll need internet access, an email address to use for job searching, an up-to-date resume, a cover letter for some jobs, your employment history and your availability to work if you're applying for a part-time job. You register directly online with mining and resource company career websites and industry-associated recruitment and labour hire agencies, especially if you know what companies you are interested in working for. Then keep an eye on their websites for entry-level jobs. You can go directly to the site and search for and apply for jobs online directly on many company websites. Some job boards and company websites require users to create an account when they apply for jobs. So to create an account, you'll need to register with a current email address so that your account can be confirmed. Your username will either be your email address or a name you select. You'll be able to choose a password for your account. Then you apply directly on the company website whenever possible, even if you find the listing elsewhere. Your application will go directly into the company's applicant tracking system, the ATS, and you'll be able to monitor its progress. It's important to follow all instructions when applying for jobs online. Regardless of how you apply, it's important to follow the company's application instructions, to submit all the required materials, and to carefully proofread your application before you click the submit button. Be prepared to provide employment references, create job alert emails. Job alert emails automatically send you jobs which are posted on specific career websites that you have registered with. All you have to do is register and indicate which job roles that you're looking for, and the site register will do the rest. Remember, the more companies you register with and add your preferences, the more opportunities you will hear and know about. Keep track of the job site accounts you create so you can track your applications, apply for more jobs, and keep your resume updated. So let's get into the job interviewing. So if and when you get a job interview, remember that you are one of only a select few who have made it this far through the whole process. The job interview is a most critical time, and it's probably taken you a lot of hard work to score one, so don't blow it. Let me give you some tips and guidance to assist you in getting yourself prepared for an interview. Now, an interview gives you the opportunity to provide detailed information about your skills and experience and demonstrate that you are the right person for the role. So let's face it, dating is very similar to interviewing, and a friend of mine, who is someone who is presently still experiencing online dating right now, got me thinking, after discussing her efforts with her, how exactly that is. That in some weird and funky way, that screening someone for a date is like interviewing for a job. I honestly wish people were better interviewers, or AKA daters, I think. I don't know if there is anyone out there who is doing online dating or has done it in the past. I know it works for so many people. I just, honest to God, struggle with the lack of effort on the other person's part from what I've seen, what they present. Let's not even go down that rabbit hole. That could be a whole separate episode that could just have me ranting at them, likely. So when we really think about it, interviewing is very similar to dating. And I think if we look at it from this perspective, we might be able to get a few different ideas and tips that we may not have thought about before. And maybe because I have recruiting experience and my friend who is dating and she is asking me for advice, and I think this is weird as I'm married and have been for a very long time. Maybe this is her reasoning, who knows. So let's think about your pre-communication, your pre-meeting communication in an interview. Maybe someone has reached out and they want to set up a phone interview, or maybe an in-person interview. It could be a text, it could be a call, it could be a voicemail, maybe it's email, it could be over a LinkedIn message. There are a lot of different ways recruiters or hiring managers can reach out to you, potential candidates. And if you look at it from a dating perspective, it's typically online communication. It could be a text, voicemails, and calls as well. From a recruiting perspective, I look at how people handle those communications. Just because I haven't talked to you yet doesn't mean the interview hasn't started. It doesn't mean I haven't started evaluating you. There are a lot of people who send terrible emails. Maybe it's their spelling, maybe it's grammar. I have seen a lot of really, unfortunately, rude behaviour come through, and pre-meeting communications, whether that's emails or phone calls, voice calls, or whatever the case may be, and sometimes it can actually hurt someone before the interview. Now, on the flip side, there has been times where candidates have been so professional, they are so upbeat, positive and keen, where I am actually more excited for the interview after some of these different means of communications have occurred. So just be mindful of that. And of course, on the dating side is over an analytical, crazy person I am, definitely evaluating how someone is sending messages to you and what they are saying. And if they understand there, and there, and they know the difference between those three words, that just bugs me. Just being real here, just being all the way honest. Okay, the next stage, right, our first meeting. In an interview, you need to show up prepared and on time. I mean, you also need to be dressed well. So typically, interview attire, unless noted otherwise, is business professional. And there are some really casual environments out there where they will tell you just wear jeans and a t-shirt. Like, that's cool, but unless you're told, it's business professional. Now, dating, you don't need to show up in a suit and tie, right? I get that, but you should definitely be on time. Just saying. And another section I want to bring up here is our first impressions. And in person, this is going to be a smile, it's going to be eye contact, it's going to be a firm handshake. Whether you're a man or a woman, now come on, this drives me crazy. People who try to shake my hand and they think my hand is like porcelain and I'm going to break. And I'm like, no. So then I, of course, do the typical bullshit and overemphasise my firm handshake. But that's neither here nor there. And first impressions, by the way, can also start again in those pre-meeting communications. And the phone calls and the voice calls and the emails and the texts again, keep that in mind. All right, next section is good conversation. In an interview, you want to make sure that you're listening to what the person is saying, who is talking to you. There have been so many times where I have heard of people being told about the position and they're being told about the team they'd be working for. They get given a little spiel about the company and they talk about a few other things. Then they're asked if they have any questions. And then they ask questions about the stuff that has just been told to them. When I hear of that, I just want to bang my head on the desk or against the keyboard. It drives me friggin' crazy. And like, I know the recruiters try their very best to keep upbeat and positive, and they'll just go on with the conversation, absolutely, and answer whatever questions they've been asked. But in my head, I'd be truly annoyed because this person, they just weren't listening. So it's, why are we having this conversation if you're just going to talk at me? But when it's my turn to talk, you're not even going to listen or pay attention. Paying attention and asking questions that haven't already been talked about shows your interest. Again, think about it. If you were out on a date and the other person is just like squawking at you and just blah, 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 you're like, good Lord, just shut up and give me a break and time to react to what you're saying and maybe let me ask some questions. You know what I mean? You just don't want to be talked at. So it really needs to be a two-way conversation, and just make sure that you're actively listening. Now, I understand that in an interview, people can get nervous, and sometimes their nerves can get the better of them. So try your hardest to just, take a few deep breaths and just calm yourself down. And just because you have your questions written down and prepared to ask your questions, you don't want to be asking them if they have already been answered. So towards the end of your interview, you want to be asking about the next steps. And maybe it's, when can I expect to hear feedback? Or what are the next steps? I'm really interested. Or I love this position. Or where do we go from here? Or, however you want to phrase that. I've talked with people in the past and it's like, when can I start? Because some people are out there that are just over-eager. They're over-keen, even at the phone interview stage. And I kind of laugh it off because you're just not going to give or get given an offer straight over the phone off a phone interview. But it will tell the interviewer or recruiter that you are interested and that they want to move forward. And if we bring that back to a date, it's like, do you want to go out again? Maybe you don't. Either way, kind of. Well, where do we go from here? So following on from that, you want to make sure you have the appropriate follow-ups. So this next example cracks me up on both sides, because I definitely think you should follow up from an interview with whoever you have spoken with and thank them for their time and reiterate your interest if indeed you are interested, and even ask again about the next steps or mention that the next steps, like, hey, you mentioned the next step would be talking to you, you know, so and so and so and so, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from them, or whatever the case may be. Now, I also need people to be careful as to not send too many messages or emails or phone calls or whatever the case may be after that interview. I am not kidding you guys. I have seen people follow up more than 15, 17 times in a 48-hour period, and I thought I was going to lose my freaking shit. I'm like, dude, calm down now. Again, if we look at this from a dating side, right, do you want to date a guy or a girl who's like psycho, texting you 1,000,000 times after a date? Like, that's not cool. Like, no one responds to crazy. Well, unless maybe you're in that same boat, or maybe that's your thing. It's definitely not my thing. I can fully admit that. Not my jam. So just be sure that you're following up, but the level of follow-up is appropriate, and there's no, like, psycho stalking. No one wants to feel like they are being stalked. It's creepy. Thanks for tuning back in, for taking the time to listen to this episode. I really do appreciate you taking the time to show up and listen, and to grow your own career. Rightio then, let's get back to the show. As you know, preparing for the interview is very important, and it is a skill that can be learned and practiced. As I've previously mentioned earlier, because of your preparedness and knowledge, this becomes your prime opportunity for you to seize. Know your facts and become the force. The interview is also an opportunity for you to see if the role and the company are right for you. So prior to the interview, there are a number of things you can do to increase your chances of success. First is review your resume and know it inside out. Understand your key skills and achievements. Be smart. Know exactly who and what you are. Review the role. Know how your key skills can apply to the role. Think about questions you might be asked, as well as any questions that you can ask in return to the interviewer. Research the company. Understand what products and services they offer. Look up their mission or vision statements, values and culture. Take extra care with your appearance, dress appropriately, and make sure you know whom you'll be meeting, where and at what time. Ask for directions if you need to, and work out how long it's going to take you to get there. Be on time. When you get to the interview, be confident and smile. First impressions always count. Now, I bet you're sitting there thinking, what type of questions will they ask during the interview? Every interview will be different, and every interviewer will have a different approach. Ultimately, the interviewer will want to know if you have the skills to do the job, if you want the job, and if you'll fit into the team. To do this, an interviewer will ask you a lot of different questions, some of which will be likely around the key competencies for the job. And the key competencies are the skills and abilities required to be successful in the position. To assess these key competencies, the interviewer will ask you for specific examples of how you have tackled situations in previous jobs that you are likely to face in this role. You should also be able to demonstrate your ability by describing the situation, how you handled it, and what the outcome was. Your interview will likely be in the form of a behavioural interview. This type of interview is based on the idea that the best predictor of your future performance is your past behaviour. Now, you need to listen carefully to the question and ask for clarification if required. The STAR interview method is used by interviewers to provide a thorough answer to each question that the recruiter or hiring manager has, so they can provide them with both the historical and behavioural information they are looking for. STAR stands for situation, task, action and results. So some STAR things to think about when answering a behavioural question are: situation, describe the situation and explain what happened. Task, outline the task you had to complete and describe your responsibilities. Action, explain the steps that you took or the decisions you made. And the result, explain the outcomes of your actions and what you learnt from the experience. Remember that a behavioural interview is designed to understand your past behaviours. If the interviewer probes your answers further, they are simply assisting you to answer the question more thoroughly and evaluate your approach to planning, risk analysis, decision making, developing solutions, seeking information, developing others, and building relationships, and so on. Now you're saying, what else can I do during the interview? You can speak clearly, have a firm handshake, maintain eye contact with the interviewer, take an extra couple of seconds to think about your answers before responding, maintain appropriate body language, arms uncrossed, good posture, avoid making negative comments about your previous employers, and try not to make things personal. Write a list of questions to ask your interviewer to help you understand more about the position and the organisation. This will give you invaluable insight into the organisation's workplace culture. And be sure to prepare the questions you will want to ask so that your thoughts will be more natural and to make sure that you have covered all your points. Remember, this is where I mentioned earlier, it's a good time now to ask questions about the next steps in the hiring process. You will also want to ask about the company's training processes, induction, and the possibility of advancement, and even some of the things that they themselves enjoy about working for the company. Remember, the organisation should be as much of a candidate in your eyes as you are in its eyes. If you're interested in the role, let your interviewer know and thank your interviewer for taking the time to meet with you. Interviewing for a job can be an exciting experience. Preparing yourself in advance can give you confidence that your skills, training and education make you valuable for a position you desire. Lastly, if you are unsuccessful, use your interview as a valuable learning tool and be prepared for the next time. You can also seek feedback on areas where you may have been lacking so that you know how to improve your skills to meet the requirements of the role next time. Remember, not all roles you interview for will be right for you, so stay positive. Here's one last tip. Create a job search notebook. Now this is me talking again here. Remember, I'm the avid note taker. And keep track of all the job applications and interactions you've had and plan the ones you want to have. Okay, so we're on the wind down. So for the last part of the show, let's talk about calming your nerves for your interview. So how to calm your nerves before and during an interview. The interview process can present challenges, including promoting yourself and asking questions about the interviewer and the organisation. But with adequate preparation and a few practical strategies, you can calm your nerves before and during an interview. So I'm going to share how you can manage the nervousness typically associated with going through an interview and why it's important to be calm in an interview. Now, it is normal to experience some form of nervousness or anxiety as you face an interview for a new job, and managing the jitteriness and stress is essential for successfully going through the interview process. You want to make a good first impression, so it's important to stay calm and positive. So here are some practical steps you can take to ensure you do stay calm during your interview. Firstly, start preparing well before the interview day. Prepare for your interview days in advance if possible. Starting your preparations long before the interview is scheduled to take place will give you enough time to go over important details, such as your key skills and competencies, what you'll take with you, how you will greet the interviewer, and even what you'll wear. So by going over your preparations, you will be a lot more confident on the day of the interview and less likely to be overcome by jitters. Advanced preparation will also give you sufficient time to learn about the company offering the position. Even if the company you are applying to is a major industry player, there could be something more to learn about them that you could use to your advantage. In addition to the company's website and social media channels, you should also look through related forums and message boards to find out what other people think of the company. Thorough familiarity with the company will likely make you feel more comfortable about applying and can reduce some of the intimidation you might feel about the interview. Number 2, secondly, boost your confidence with a pep talk. Give yourself a pep talk is one of the most effective ways to calm your nerves and boost your confidence. Consider telling yourself that you deserve this job and that you are qualified for it. Some people find it more effective to say these encouraging statements out loud. If you can hear it, the more likely you may be to believe it. Thirdly, make a detailed plan for the interview. This step involves mapping out every aspect of the actual interview, from the moment you come face to face with the hiring manager or recruiter to when you walk out of the office. Go over every detail to ensure that your words and actions give you as favourable an impression as possible. You will want to come across as competent and confident, so plan a suitable greeting and an opening statement for the hiring manager or recruiter. You might also want to write down some talking points as an outline for important details you want to cover during the interview. Although you should have a definitive interview plan, be prepared to change course if the interview goes in another direction. Even if the interviewer asks you an unexpected question, having a prepared plan should help you maintain composure and remain confident. Fourthly, make your final preparations the night before. Making your final preparations the day before the interview. This is the last opportunity you have to perfect and fine-tune your interview approach, so try to devote as much time for it as you can. Even a seemingly small modification to your approach could greatly increase your chances of getting accepted for the position. And of course, the more rehearsed your preparation is, the more likely you'll be able to overcome nerves and jitteriness. In addition to practicing your interviewing skills, you can set out the clothes you're planning to wear. The more minor details you take care of the night before, the less you will have to deal with in the morning. And number 5, plan accordingly to arrive at the interview early. Get up early enough that you have sufficient time to prepare and get to the interview with enough time to settle in. Ideally, you should get to the office or the site about 15 minutes before the interview, but make sure to account for any heavy traffic or obstacles unforeseen to your commute. This should also give you enough time to walk to the interview office in case it is located in another part of the facility or in an adjacent building. Use the time to compose yourself and go over the notes you have prepared. A last-minute refresher should give you an added confidence boost and help you remember more complex points. This will also give you something to do while waiting to be called, so this can prevent nerves from settling in. And number 6, then talk to a supportive friend or family member. Talking to a friend or family member who believes in you is a great way to calm last-minute nerves and can give you more confidence. If you have a few minutes to spare before the interview, give your bestie or your mother or your father or your family member or mentor a quick call. You can ask them to provide specific input about your positive traits or other job qualifications. Number 7 is next, stay focused on your goal. Try to stay focused on your goal from the moment you walk into the building and throughout the interview. Approaching the interview with a determination, focus and intent should give you more confidence. Remember that you are there to get the position, so remain focused on your goal and what you need to do to achieve it. After that, do the STOP method. Now, the STOP method is one of the most effective ways to deal with stressful situations. This technique involves the following steps. Stop everything and focus on what you are feeling. Take some deep breaths. Observe how your mind and body are reacting to the stress. Acknowledge that all these thoughts and feelings are normal. Proceed with your goal by managing the thoughts and feelings you have observed. These series of steps will enable you to slow down and take stock of your normal reaction to a stressful situation. You will then be better able to manage these and avoid being overwhelmed. Number 9, finally, actively participate in the interview. Although you should answer every question that the hiring manager or recruiter directs to you, take a proactive approach by asking for clarification. Providing background information and volunteering additional details might give you the competitive advantage you need to get the job. By doing your part to direct the course of the interview, you could even set up additional opportunities to showcase your skills and abilities, which is always an effective confidence booster. Okay, so here are your take 5 tips for your interview prep. Number 1, preparation demonstrates your interest level, your work ethic and your tenacity. Number 2, perform a practice interview. Get some practice in before the big day. This will give you ample time to prepare some well thought out answers, give you some extra confidence and allow you to be intentional with non-verbal cues such as eye contact and posture. Number 3, now if you don't know already, because I've mentioned it before, I'm an avid journaler and note taker. I carry a notebook on me at all times. I have this uncanny need to take notes. It's a habit that stems from being a stenographer back in the day. Pencil perched behind my ear at all times and at the ready to scribe. Also, I like to be able to recall information I have just learnt or want to retain for the future. So I will vehemently say, bring a notebook with you. Write down the questions that you will want to ask during your interview so that you can make sure they are all addressed. The notebook can also be valuable during the interview process, so you can write down information that you would like to follow up with after the interview, or to take notes for more questions you may want to ask at the end. When it's time to recall any details, you will have the information to reference, and this will make a good impression with your follow-up by being able to recall important points. Number 4. Now, the worst mistake you can make in an interview is to try to fake an answer. Don't do it. Sell yourself to the interviewer. Once your interviewer greets you and goes over your resume, they may begin with some interview questions. When you're responding, take a few moments to formulate your answer. Many of the questions will start with discussing you, such as who you are and what your strengths are. Answer each question thoughtfully and completely. Always use positive body language that is open, inviting and welcoming, such as keeping your hands apart and turning your shoulders toward the interviewer. You have amazing skills, experience and qualifications. Showcase them and be authentic. Bring your kick-ass attitude. That is, show up as the brightest, happiest version of yourself, whatever that looks like to you. Employers are looking to hire you, so just be yourself. Finally, be sure to thank your interviewer for their time. State your excitement and keenness to hear from them, and leave with a firm handshake and your kick-ass smile. Number 5. Now this is crucial and a vital part of the interview process. If you have been asked to send further information, make sure you do this quickly and efficiently. The next crucial step is that you follow up after the interview. By following up with the interviewer after the interview with a thank you, you are showing your keenness to obtain the position, as well as become a member of the company. Always start with a thank you note or email within 24 hours of the actual interview. Next step, prompt. You will want to consider when to contact the interviewer about the results of the interview. Remember, no stalking. That's creepy. However, in some instances, the recruiter or hiring manager will let you know when you can expect to hear from them, or when they are ultimately making their final decision. If your interviewer does not provide a date, consider waiting for 1 to 2 weeks if you have not heard back sooner. Interviewing for a job can be an exciting experience. Preparing yourself in advance can give you the confidence that your skills, training and education make you valuable for a position you desire. And lastly, here is your safety affirmation for the week. In the end, we only regret the chances we didn't take. So, a lot of the content we're going to be covering over the coming episodes comes directly from my book. I've also got a swag of helpful worksheets and informational briefs that you can access by contacting me direct. My book, High Heels to High Vis, by me, Jo Sainsbury, the Glo-getter, it's a book for women of all ages interested in a career or a change in career into a non-traditional role within the rail, mining, resources, STEM and construction industries. In the book, you'll find out how to understand and build on your current and innate strengths. Take steps to identify your personal and career goals. You can best utilise my tips, tricks, tools and insights into getting that boot in the door. Plan, create and manage your own initiative to go after that role. Find your kick-ass attitude and version of success, whatever that looks like to you. When women realise their potential and are able to access their inner strength, knowledge and power, miracles are known to happen and opportunities do come knocking. I hope by sharing my knowledge, career experience and understanding of the industry, I will be able to guide others as paying it forward pays back. Everyone's capable of doing the job. So what are you waiting for? Go on, get your glow on, become a glow-getter. You can buy my book through my website link or direct from Amazon, Kindle, etc. My website is www.kickasswomen.com.au. That's it, guys. I hope that was helpful and I hope it kept it light with my dating analogies. And if there is any dating expert out there, I would actually love to hear your opinion on this, because I feel like there are a lot of similarities, but it's also very possible I would just suck at dating. So either way, I'd love to hear from you if you are a dating expert, or even if you're not, I would still love to hear your feedback in general. I love it when you guys reach out to me, And have an awesome day, guys. Go crush it. I do hope you found the information helpful and valuable. I know it's a little bit different than what you typically hear, but I wanted to spice it up a little bit, as variety is the spice of life, right? And as always, I really appreciate you guys giving your time to listen to this radio show. You can find more information on this episode in the show notes or on my social media pages, either on Facebook, LinkedIn or Instagram. Come back next week where we're going to start to go back to the basics, and that's getting to know yourself, your authenticity, building on your personal growth and development, your soft skills and your hard skills. And today's episode was brought to you by Brendo's Earth Moving Contractors. They're keeping on track. Make sure to follow me on my Kickass Women or Jo Sainsbury social media pages if you haven't already, where we'll break down this episode throughout the week. And I would really love to hear your feedback. I love it when you reach out, and any feedback that you have or any suggestions you may have for topics you may wish for me to discuss in regards to women pursuing a career within these industries. Also, if there is something you're struggling with, or if you're wanting additional help, you want to dig deeper, you need some direction, maybe you need help with your resume or career coaching, let me know. And if I can help out, I would love to. You can send me an email. My email is Jody, Jody, at kickasswomen.com.au, or find me on Facebook at facebook.com/kickasswomenaustralia, and be sure to stay tuned in for future episodes. I'd love to hear from you, so show some love for your new radio show by leaving me a review on BBS Radio Network, Kickass Radio. Well, that's it. That's all for today's Kickass Radio show. Thanks for your company and for listening to Kickass Radio. It's not goodbye, but we'll see you later. Stay safe and well. You guys rock. Go out there and have a great day or evening. Keep in touch, POSComms. Go on, get your glow on. Become a Glo-getter.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Kickass Radio, where we kick goals and deliver empowering conversations for women. Want to hear more from Kickass Women and Jo Sainsbury? Visit the Kickass Women website or follow Kickass Women on Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. See you on the next episode of Kickass Radio.